Sauropods are the largest land animals the Earth has ever seen. So today we're going to look at all the sauropods that have been covered in dinosaur profiles so far. Sauropods are normally considered long-necked giant dinosaurs with no special traits whatsoever. That is just simply wrong. In fact, the diversity of sauropods is so underrated that most people don't even know that there are big and tiny sauropods, sauropods that apparently mastered the whip strike, tail-clubbed sauropods, and sauropods with so much neural spine development that the back could be considered a water slide. The last group, the water-slided sauropods or Dicraeosauridae, are out of this world, just by their looks. In this group there is one sauropod in particular that needs to be talked about. By the sound of the video game used in the intro, you should probably already know this dinosaur, the Amagasaurus, quite literally one of history's high points in diplodocoid evolution, as this dinosaur put a hell of a lot of evolution points in its neural spine development, particularly in the neck area. These diplodocoids, called Dicraeosaurids, diverge from the diplodocids, which form another group within the Diplodocoidea superfamily. Normally the namesake and type member of the group, in this case Dicraeosaurus, would be the most popular within the group. However, sometimes paleontologists discover an animal so bizarre and so unique that popular media boosts its popularity enormously. In Amagasaurus' case, it has been shown in TV series, Paleodocs, and games, including Bizarre Dinosaurs, Dinosaur King, Dinodan, and most notably the Pokemon franchise, where it was first introduced in Pokemon X and Y as one of the fossil Pokemon named Amora, with the later evolution called Aurorus, which is where this sound came from. I love this one, it's just one of the best Pokemon cries out there, for real. Anyways, comment your favorite display of Amagasaurus in media. Back to Amagasaurus itself. Amagasaurus casaui was first named by Leonardo Salgado and Jose Fernando Bonaparte in 1991 with the name referring to its location of discovery, the La Amaga Formation, which has outcrops in Argentina in the provinces Rio Negro, Neuquén and Mendoza. Speaking of the two descriptors of Amagasaurus, Salgado and Bonaparte are actually two goat paleontologists, as both of them have named iconic dinosaur genera, such as Giganotosaurus, Amagasaurus, Argentinosaurus, Carnotaurus, Abelisaurus, Alvarezsaurus, and the goat of all hard to pronounce dinos, Piatnitskysaurus, and many more. So shoutouts to them and back to the video. For a sauropod, Amagasaurus is on the lower end of the size spectrum with 9 to 13 meters or 30 to 43 feet in length and a weight of 2.6 to 4 metric tons. However, its most striking feature is not size, instead its neural spines, of which there have been a plethora of theories to its actual looks and utilization in life. These spines are actually bifurcated, which means they split into two separate spines from a combined base on top of the vertebra. While the elongated spines look similar to spikes in the skeleton, this might not be the case if you actually traveled back in time and studied this animal. This is because one of the first main ideas to the looks of the spine was a double skin sail that started just behind the skull and along the neck and sometimes the body too. This structure was conceived as being a utility commonly used for display, but possibly also thermoregulation. Well, that idea was quickly put in the back though, as a skin sail would have led to a very rigid neck, resulting in quite a recumbrance for the animal when it comes to feeding and drinking. The second idea that became even more popular was that there was no skin sail at all, and that the neural spines would have risen up just by themselves, as it's commonly portrayed in paleo art nowadays. Keratinous sheets would have been present to protect the spines from damage and the distinct spine elements from exposure. Most likely use for these spines is again visual display. There is another theory to the use of these spines, and that is as a defense mechanism against predators. However, other than predator intimidation and predators that were dumb enough to actually directly attack the spines, biting out teeth in the process, I don't personally see any more use cases for this structure. By the way, there are no predators in the formation that match a Margasaurus's height yet, so don't let yourself get deceived by some fantasy paleo art here. Anyways, if you have any other ideas to the use of the neural spines, write it down in the comments below. I personally would prefer roasting a knackwurst on there, while an Amargasaurus is laying down to the side and letting me nibble down the sausage from its spines. No diddy. On to Amargasaurus' environment then. Amargasaurus is known from the coherently named La Amarga formation from Barremian to Aptian stages of the early Cretaceous, approximately 129.4 to 122.46 million years ago. The formation is also known for a smaller belisaurid called Liga Bueno, followed by Creosaurid Amarga titanis, which was around the same size but potentially without the crazy spines. Another diplodocoid called Stapalosaurus, this time from the Rebachisaurid family, and an indeterminate Stegosaurian. Shout out to Stegosaurians, by the way. They actually made it to the end of the early Cretaceous 100.5 million years ago. Crazy stuff, not gonna lie. Further animals of the formation include the coherently named Trematojumpsid crocodilomorph Amargasuchus, an indeterminate pterosaur, and a cladotherian mammal called Vincelestis. Speaking of which, cladotherians actually lived from the Jurassic to only recently. Also an evolutionary W identical to diplodocoids. With all that said, it is currently evidently clear that the Amargasaurus would have had no natural predators. Let's just appreciate evolution for a moment, as this was the combination of the Earth's most spiny, iconic and weirdest sauropods to ever evolve.
Sauropods are the largest animals to ever walk on land. However, among them there is a special class called the megasauropods, which contains every sauropod that weighs 40 metric tons or more. Argentinosaurus is one of the most popular and also one of the biggest. What many people don't know though is that another megasauropod lives in Argentinosaurus' environment. It might even be almost as big or as big as Argentinosaurus. However, this dinosaur has a much more cool vibe to it, as it is named after a god of destruction. In 2001, several sauropod skeletons were uncovered at the Bastingori 2 site at Villa El Chocón, Argentina, including fossils of Choconsaurus and a second genus. The second animal was first described and named in a thesis by Marit Edith Simon in 2011 and given the informal name Sauropodus.
I'm being serious.
The animal was dated to the Cenomanian of the Cretaceous, a time period that ranges from 100.5 to 93.9 million years ago. It was only given a new genus name in 2023 by Simon and Salgado. Named after Manuel Bustingori, the Greek word titan in reference to its giant size, and the Hindu god Shiva, who's known as a destroyer and transformer of worlds, referring to the Cenomanian Turonian paleofaunal turnover. Bustingori titan Shiva, aka Bustingori's giant destroyer, aka probably the biggest aura farmer in Sauropoda alongside Dreadnoughtus and Sauroposeidon. Comment if I forgot someone. Unlike Argentinosaurus, another megasauropod of the Huingchul formation, Bustingori titan actually has a proper name for such a gigantic animal. In this cladogram by Mocho and colleagues in 2019, we can see the group Lithostrotia, a clade of derived titanosaurians, including genuses such as Alamosaurus, Saltasaurus, and of course also Bustingori titan. Bustingori titan was a titan even among titanosaurs, measuring a whopping 30 meters or 98.4 feet in length, 6.5 meters or around 20 feet in height, and 50 up to potentially 67.3 metric tons in weight. Only 10% smaller than conservative Argentinosaurus estimates at 75 metric tons. But why would an animal even acquire this size in the first place, aside from getting leaves off the highest trees and felling trees with their immense legs? Well, the predators contained in the formation are definitely a reason why, as there are not one, not two, but three megatheropods, aka theropods with or over 5 metric tons in weight. Giant sauropods and giant theropods actually have a great symbiosis though, as on the one end you got the kaiju-sized plant eaters who are, if healthy, way too much to handle for the theropods, and on the other end, it's now abundantly clear why this formation can sustain giant theropods. Because of giant carcasses, and for some brave predators, maybe even free snacks 24/7. You just have to take a bite of the sauropod, but safety note, please don't get trampled. Anyways, what else got Bustingori Titan in its locker? Well, we know that it had two giant competitors in the formation. While Bustingori Titan was a Lithostrotian, these two were Colossosaurians, namely Chucarosaurus and Argentinosaurus. Chucarosaurus was probably smaller, around 40 metric tons plus. However, it is also an aura farmer, as its name means indomitable or unbeatable lizard. Who does he think he is? Robin from Teen Titans. And what's up with every mega sauropod other than Argentinosaurus aura farming in this formation? Y'all good in the land of Titans?
What?
Well, anyways, speaking of the devil, I mean the formation, Huincul is actually super famous for its paleofauna, often referred to as the Land of Titans, due to an adequately named Chased by Dinosaurs episode. Huincul's timeline of the late Cretaceous comprises the late Cenomanian, 97 million years ago, to the early Turonian, 93 million years ago. The Huincul formation does include vertebrate paleofauna, including many dinosaurs, namely the Ornithischian Chakisaurus, the Ribakisaurid diplodocoidean sauropods, Limesaurus, Cedasaura, and the Catartisaura, as well as the Titanosaurians Choconsaurus and the other three megasauropod Titanosaurs Chucarosaurus, Bustingori Titan, and the Argentinosaurus. Considering the fact that this formation was home to 7 different sauropod genuses, whom 3 of them are megasauropods, it is abundantly and evidently clear why this formation has the prerequisites to support massive predators. And boy oh boy, it did. Theropod dinosaurs include Orniraptor, of whom we still don't know its exact group. Maybe it's a Megaraptor and maybe not. The potential Coelurosaurian Gualicho, the Abelisaurids Ilocalesia, Tralcasaurus, and the well-known Scorpiovenata, as well as the Maniraptor and Oviroraptor and 3 Carcharodontosaurids of the Giganotosaurini subgroup, namely the Meraxes, Mapusaurus, and Taurovenata, a Dark Knight trilogy of giant killers. The formation is also home to some non-dinosaur reptiles such as the turtle Prochelidella, as well as the Rhynchocephalians Caicaifilosaurus and Patagos phenos. For Bustingori Titan as it stands, only gangs of the 6 metric tons plus Taurovenata and Meraxes, which by the way could have been up to 9 metric tons in weight apparently, could have been a problem. Other than that, 1v1 no one can stop this animal other than fellow megasauropods. However, to ensure the survival of a species, it needs more than just pure strength. It also needs luck, as titanosaurs are of course animals that count on R selection, which is often defined by traits such as high growth rates and lots of offspring. And to be honest, they had to produce lots of offspring, as small and mid-sized predators were ubiquitous or omnipresent and would have made snacks out of the baby Bustingori Titan for sure. However, once they were fully grown, no animal could stop a healthy Bustingori Titan really, aside from a fellow male Bustingori Titan or a cheeky Argentinosaurus during the mating season. Why I just right now thought of a Bustingori Titan and Argentinosaurus completing the act, please don't ask.
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
Argentinosaurus, Sauroposeidon, Supersaurus, Mamenchisaurus, Brachiosaurus are some of the largest and most famous sauropods in the world. But what is striking is that none of these sauropods came from Europe. But Europe also had some true colossuses among its giants. One of them was the Turriosaurus. Among the mighty sauropods, the plant-eating giants that roamed the earth during the Mesozoic era, Turriosaurus stands out as one of the most colossal in Europe. In fact, to this day, Turriosaurus riodevensis is the biggest officially described dinosaur of Europe. There are some contestants to steal this title in the near future, but right now it's still Turriosaurus on the European throne. Turriosaurus' name means Turrio lizard. It inhabited the Iberian Peninsula about 155 to 146 million years ago during the Cambrian and Devonian ages of the late Jurassic. The remains of Turriosaurus were unearthed in 2006 in the Teruel province of Spain in the vicinity of the town of Rio Deva. Fossil fragments of this immense dinosaur, including an articulated left forelimb, skull fragments, teeth, vertebrae and ribs, have been unearthed in terrestrial deposits of the Villa del Arzobispo Formation in Rio Deva, Teruel province, Spain. Turriosaurus belongs to a group of sauropods known as Turriosauria, most famous for the vertical neural spines. These dinosaurs lived from the Middle Jurassic, around 168 million years ago, into the early Cretaceous, some 125 million years ago, in Europe and North Africa. Turriosaurus' sheer size is its most notable characteristic. Early estimates place its length at an impressive 35 meters or 114.8 feet, though more recent studies suggest a slightly smaller but still impressive 30 meters or 98.4 feet. To put this into perspective, that's about the length of 3 school buses lined up end to end. Considering all the weight estimates for Turriosaurus, its weight must have ranged from 30 of up to 50 metric tons. The upper estimates are making it a definitive megasauropod, definition via the Vividan. Its height was also impressive, reaching an estimated 12 meters or about twice as high as the biggest giraffes today. Its skull was about 70 centimeters or 2.3 feet in length, which is not very large compared to its size. Paleontologist Luis Alcala suggested that the head was so small because otherwise Turriosaurus would break its neck. Like all sauropods, Turriosaurus was an herbivore, relying on a diet of leaves, branches and other vegetation. Its long neck allowed it to reach high into the trees, while its broad jaw and numerous teeth would let it efficiently gather and process food. To support its massive bulk, Turriosaurus possessed a robust skeleton with a thick, elongated neck and a long, heavy tail. Its powerful hind legs were well adapted for supporting its weight and propelling it through its Jurassic habitat. Turriosaurus lived in the Villa del Arzobispo Formation of Upper Jurassic Spain. We don't know much about this formation as there have been no findings of particular plants and many animals are either indeterminate or undescribed. The fauna we do have definitive evidence of consists of the turtle taxon Riodevemis and several non-avian dinosaur taxons, namely the sauropods Turriosaurus, Losiosaurus, Galvesaurus and Aragosaurus, the Stegosaurian Deltapodus, the Ornithopodopletosaurus, and the likely Megalosaurian Iberosauripus known only from trackway material. However, this habitat was the land of the Turriosaurus, as it reigned not only as the dominant herbivore of its time, but also the dominant dinosaur of its ecosystem. An animal the size of Turriosaurus must have been majestic, as it traversed the Jurassic landscapes and shaped the intricate ecosystems around it at the time. Its sheer size and robust anatomy allowed it to survive and thrive, leaving an indelible mark on the fossil record. To date, no theropod has been found that was big enough to even dare to take on this colossus, solidifying Turriosaurus' position as the absolute top of the food chain. The discovery of Turriosaurus shows the remarkable diversity of sauropod evolution, demonstrating that the ability to achieve enormous body size was not limited to the new sauropod clades such as the Diplodocids and the Titanosaurs, but also evolved independently at least once in a more basal sauropod lineage. Turriosaurus remains one of the largest and most impressive dinosaurs to ever be discovered in Europe, a testament to the evolutionary wonders of the Mesozoic era and the incredible diversity of sauropods that once roamed the earth. There are many titanosaurs, as they are the best known group of sauropods, but one with an exceptionally special name stands out, and that is Dreadnoughtus. What makes Dreadnoughtus the sauropod superstar of Jurassic World Dominion and one of the stars of Prehistoric Planet so special? And how did it compete with other large titanosaurs of its time? Dreadnoughtus, its name meaning the fearless. Dreadnoughts lived 84 to 66 million years ago in Argentina. Fossils were found in the province of Santa Cruz in Patagonia. From Dreadnoughtus we know one species, Dreadnoughtus shrani. Dreadnoughtus was described in 2014 by the well-known paleontologist Dr. Kenneth Lacovara. Its fossils were found in southern Patagonia in the Cerro Fortaleza Formation in 2005. However, the uncovering of Dreadnoughtus' fossils then took nearly 4 years. About 70% of its skeleton is preserved. Size estimates for this animal vary. A height of 5 to 6 meters or 17 to 20 feet, a weight of 32 to over 40 metric tons and a length of 26 meters or 85 feet are probably realistic as a general estimate. This makes Dreadnoughtus a very massive and cumbersome animal. Paleontologists believe that this animal was not yet fully grown and thus could have grown even bigger. Sauropods were after all the largest land animals that ever inhabited the earth. The skeleton of Dreadnoughtus is one of the most complete skeletons ever found. From this skeleton we can say that the neck of a large specimen was 11 meters or 36 feet long and the tail measured 9 meters or 30 feet. The fossil remains of Dreadnoughtus include a maxillary bone and tooth, 2 cervical vertebrae with cervical ribs, 8 vertebrae of the trunk spine with ribs, the entire caudal spine with 18 hemal arches, the shoulder and pelvic girdles, and the bones of the fore and hind legs. Nothing was found of the feet apart from a few isolated foot bones. Some parts of the animal contained bite marks, potentially those of a Megaraptor and Theropod. Dreadnoughtus possessed an air sac system to efficiently supply air to its large body. Dreadnoughtus shrani was named after American entrepreneur Adam Schran, who provided financial support for the research project. Unfortunately, we do not know exactly what this dinosaur ate or how it spent its daily life. But we can take a look at the flora and also the fauna that Dreadnoughtus lived in. Dreadnoughtus remains have been unearthed in the Cerro Fortaleza Formation of Patagonia. This flora had a warm, moderate climate at the end of the Cretaceous. Paleontologists such as Dr. Fernando Novas, among others, believe that the climate in which the Cerro Fortaleza deposit originated was humid with intervals of heavy rainfall and high water levels. This formation is composed of conifers and palm ferns with both gymno and angiosperm wood and various flowering plants among others. The known fauna of the Cerro Fortaleza Formation consists mainly of dinosaurs, fish and turtles. Among the late Cretaceous dinosaurs found in what is now Santa Cruz province was another sauropod, Agyrosaurus superbus. It was slightly smaller and lighter than Dreadnoughtus but also lived from 84 to 66 million years ago. Slightly larger than Dreadnoughtus might have been the massive Puertosaurus, coming in with a length of 30 meters or 89 feet and a height of 8 meters or 26 feet and a weight of over 40 metric tons. This sauropod was massive. Puertosaurus himself appeared 71 million years ago and was also a resident of what is now Santa Cruz province at the end of the Cretaceous period. The most dangerous animal in this region at that time was none other than Icarus, one of the largest representatives of the Megaraptorans. The Megaraptors all had long claws and razor-sharp teeth and were probably specialized in endurance-intensive pursuit hunting. Icarus itself is estimated to have been up to 8.4 meters long and weighed 1.4 metric tons. A fearsome predator, just the right size to prey on young sauropods. But despite all that, an adult Dreadnoughtus could defend itself against this impressive predator. After all, it was many times larger and heavier. Dreadnoughtus, he died out only at the end of the Cretaceous period, 66 million years ago, possibly at the KT mass extinction event. Thus, Mother Nature was the only thing that could make Dreadnoughtus disappear from the scene of our planet. That's it for this video. Smash the thumbs up, the bell and the subscribe, as only legends do that and I know you all are. For more Megaraptor there is also the German channel. I would also recommend checking out the Dan Show football channel. And with that I wish you a splendid day or evening. Goodbye.